Welcome to TVBS Meeting Room, where we tackle global issues with a view from Taiwan. I'm your host, Wenchi Yu. Today we're so pleased to have Mr. Kwon, who's the chairman of Bayan Tree Holdings, with us today. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, you've had an amazing life story. So you were born into a business family. Your father also became a diplomat, and you grew up in Thailand,
Right.
and then spent a year in Taiwan studying Mandarin at Donghai University.
Right.
Went to Stanford, and then became a journalist,
Right.
and then was jailed,
Yep.
and then
Yep,
joined a
yep,
family
okay.
business and became a very successful, one of the most successful actually brands in the world. So tell us, how does that life experience actually translate into your business success?
First of all, it means that you don't get scared of anything anymore. When the worst things that you could possibly imagine, and you think your life has ended when you're in your early 20s, and then later on, when you go into business, your life has nearly died many times, because in the hotel industry, everything affects you.
There's
from the
ups and
tsunami.
downs,
Yeah,
right.
the hotel industry is more susceptible to event risk than anything else. I think what it says to me is that, nothing can really faze me anymore. So you become resilient, but at the same time, you are always agile to take advantage of circumstances and things that happen. So, for example, my own background, I think the fact that I never really was entirely Singaporean, I was never Taiwanese, I was never Thai, though I only spent my childhood years there. And the bad side of it was that when I was growing up, I always thought I was an outsider. I was never an insider to anything. But now that I reflect back, I think part of the reason why Bayan Tree as an Asian brand has succeeded so well in non-Asian areas, in 27 countries and so on, is partly because I was always an outsider, so I was never held back by any cultural constraints. Whereas I see Thai hotel companies, Chinese hotel companies, Japanese hotel companies, all very strong in their own area, but they cannot really think international. Whereas I've been international all my life, not by choice, but by circumstances.
That actually connects to how you are going global internationally. So now you've got hotels in Latin America, in the Middle East, in Africa, and so how do you bring this sort of Asian-centered theme or inspired brand to other parts of the world and then make them acceptable and popular?
That's a very good question, because although we're very proud of our Asian heritage, proud of being Singaporean to the people who are in Singapore, proud that we come with very strong Thai roots for all our associates for our hotels in Thailand, we've always said that we must not be seen as a hotel company with any particular geographic roots, for two reasons. One is we strongly believe in a sense of place. We believe that our beautiful resorts in Mexico, or the one that's coming up in Saudi Arabia in the middle of a desert and a very historic part of the area, or one that's already existing in Corfu in Greece that just opened during COVID. If you want to build up a sense of place, people who go there must say this is the most beautiful resort in Greece, in Saudi Arabia, or in Mexico. They cannot say this is a Thai hotel transplanted there. And the second reason is that we cannot let our associates think that there is a glass ceiling. Like a lot of Japanese companies, a lot of American companies, they're so big, although they're multinational, if you're not Japanese or you're not American, you'll never be in the C-suite.
So you don't want to become one of those giant hotel chains. You want to maintain your boutique?
No, we hope to be giant, but we would never want to be giant and only portray one particular culture or country. And that's why you ask the question, what underpins us when we go international? What has made us successful? I would say two things. One is a sense of place. When you go there, you're not like a Holiday Inn in everywhere, or McDonald's, where they actually pride themselves on the fact that every Holiday Inn and every McDonald's is identical.
It's the same.
We don't want that. We want a strong sense of place. So that's one thing that defines us. The other one that's very important is our service culture. We are not talking about an Asian service culture. Our service culture is actually embedded in 4 words that we practice everywhere in our training, and that's I am with you. I am with you embodies empathy. Now, maybe some Asian cultures have shown greater empathy than before, than others have, and so on. But whether you're Mexican, whether you're Arab, whether you're American, if you understand that the basis of your serving people is out of empathy, then you build upon the empathy that you find in that particular culture. And as a result of that, our Mexican associates are so proud to be Mexican and so proud to be Banyan Tree. They believe that Banyan Tree is truly their family. And it's not because we are Asian or Thai or whatever. We are truly global and united by a set of core values which are universal.
You know, it's important to focus on this sort of building a global culture. However, as you know, this world right now is quite fragmented. We have a war that's ongoing,
Right.
Russia and Ukraine, and then we have the 2 greatest powers in the world that are fighting against each other or competing.
And you are caught Taiwan is caught right in the middle.
I think for any business that's trying to do operations globally, this is inevitably a great challenge.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate that?
It's not a great challenge in terms of making people across the world feel part of a Banyan Tree family. I've already mentioned to you, we built that culture. We built that culture over 30 years. Whether America and China are tensions or whether America and XYZ is at tensions, people who are in our hotels feel that they're part of Banyan Tree. So that's not been the challenge. The challenge is how do we navigate in a world where there's going to be increasing sanctions? Obviously, everybody in China is already well aware, as well as the US hotel chains, that what happened between the US and Russia in terms of sanctions may well apply to China.
Yes.
The weaponization of SWIFT and global finance against China. So China is very concerned now about creating its own autonomy rather than independence in every area. Now, the problem then is we refuse to get drawn in so that if we choose to be in China and America slaps sanctions on China, we have to withdraw. Neither do we want to be caught in a situation where China is going to look badly on us if we have a hotel in the Americas, in North America.
How do you do that though?
How we're doing that is something we've learned early on. Way before sustainability and corporate social responsibility became a buzzword. 30 years ago, when we first started, we crafted our own very clear statement as to what sustainability stood for us. Okay, and we did that because there were NGOs like Greenpeace and others that were really fixated on protecting endangered species and not aware that for us in the developing world, it's a dilemma. You cannot just protect endangered snail species and forget about the fact.
Development.
Well, you need upliftment of people. So for us, our slogan was, empowering people, embracing the environment, and so on. What we are now needing to do is we have to craft our own statement as to what dealing with other countries mean. What does democracy mean? What kind of companies will we work with? What kind of companies will we not work with? We work in Cuba, we work in China, and we are not going to say get out of China because I may not agree with what China is doing with the Uyghurs, but that doesn't mean I'm just going to get out because Americans tell us to get out. We work with companies, we work with partners. So we are going to have to define, just like banks have know your customer, we're going to have a program of know your partner. And the partners we deal with will have to be vetted according to our principles. And if we do that in a proactive way, if sanctions are hit across the world, we are going to stand up and say we have consistently stood for our principles and we will not allow Russia, China, America, or anybody else to tell us who we can and cannot deal with.
That is gutsy. I think that does come from your
that comes totally from my experience because now exactly people talk about greenwashing, people are talking now everybody's joined the buzzword for sustainability. We defined early on what we stand for in terms of the environment. We now have to define what we stand for in terms of human rights, in terms of partnerships we work with, and we'll have to have the courage to do that. And I've been advocating that more and more companies need to do that. Otherwise, we're going to get caught in between all the big powers, and life is going to be very difficult for us to navigate.
Well, I think the good news is that it seems that the whole world is relaxing on the COVID restrictions now.
Yes.
So travel, tourism is going to come back, which will be good for your business. So how do you look at the next 6 months, a year, or 2 years and from COVID?
Well, in terms of my own business, it's been very, very positive. We came out, as I've said elsewhere, when you're faced near death, nothing else scares you anymore. Inflation, interest rate, what's a big deal compared to nearly dying, near death? So near death, to use that analogy further, we got well medicated. So we're coming out of this near death probably stronger than ever before. In terms of finances, free cash flow, in terms of morale, because we've been through this, everybody's morale is very, very strong.
Right.
In terms of our performance, our revenues have doubled in the last 6 months. Our profits have doubled, not yet back to pre-COVID periods, but we have actually opened up 9 hotels during COVID in places we never opened up before. Like in Japan, we really have operating hotels.
Interesting.
Altogether, we now have 70 hotels, and we've got another 15 opening up over the next 12 months, and over the next 3 years we've got 50 opening up, because we introduced new brands also during COVID when we saw where the demand was coming from.
Right.
So we're approaching this from very much the Chinese word for crisis, 危机, and everybody's been talking about the 危险 portion.
Yeah.
We've gotten past the 危险 portion of 危机, and now we're looking at the 机会, and we are really taking advantage of that.
Well, I know a lot of Taiwanese people cannot wait to travel overseas and abroad, and I hope a lot of them choose to stay at Bayan Tree hotels.
Thank you. I hope so.
Myself have really enjoyed my experience at one of your hotels. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.